There we go. Ah, there he is again. The Blue Terran fighting for Shopify Rebellion. He's had a bit of a bumpy ride, but he managed to get through here into the deciders match. Byun.
And his opponent in the top right. There it is. The red Protoss player playing for BIG. This is Showtime. Dude, he's got the word relax in the background. Also, look at that killer like collage. Oh, you don't get to see that in the little picture. We'll have to check it out next game. See how many pictures we recognize there.
Collage of like StarCraft things, or what was this?
I mean, I had the same 5 seconds to look at it as you did. So
Right.
I just saw pictures, and it was just wall-shaped objects in each of the pictures. So
yeah, I know.
Showtime showing off the goods.
If we want to be extremely unprofessional, right, we could just rewind and then just pause it.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like there's other stuff going on right now. Like, what do we have to do?
Oh, that'd be bad. Man, yeah. No, I would not be returning to this channel, probably.
Oh, no.
Sushi would skin me. Yeah, well. Yep. That's what it is.
I suppose he gets what he wants.
No, he's right. He's right in this case. I think.
What?
I don't know. It could be funny, right? It could be.
It'd be worth the laughs. Let's put it that way. At least it'd be fun. But this is, of course, an important series here. Byun versus Showtime, the fight for second place in this group. Definitely, I would say Byun maybe the preferred favorite at this point. It's definitely a large advantage for Byun on a Ligulac. It's like an 80% chance that he wins this series. But Showtime showing some very strong play against large opponents as well.
By the way, did I ever already tell you, or maybe you figured it out or heard it somewhere else, the reason why the nickname Wildman is a nickname for Byun?
Oh, no, you haven't told me that.
No? Alright, so apparently the reason for this, right, is that in about 2010 somewhere range, Byun just disappeared for like a year or two. Something like that. And then, out of nowhere, out of the blue, he just suddenly reappeared, but he had a massive beard, and apparently, you know, it looked, according to the people who saw him then, as if he had just come out of the woods. He had just reappeared out of the woodworks, and he's been missing for 2 years, right? So it's like, suddenly he's there, big beard, and that's when he got the nickname, the Wild Man. Because, you know, he's Bear Grylls it up for, for a year or two, the story goes.
I'd never heard that before.
Yep.
All right, that's an interesting story. I like it.
Yeah. He's told me this himself, by the way.
Has he really?
Yeah, he told me this himself.
All right.
His English is surprisingly good. Like, he's okay with the English. He might be using Google Translate more than I know, but...
You know, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
All right, so interesting setup here for Byun. Takes the pocket expand, not a major deal. I mean, Blink Stalkers might have something fun to say with that down the road, but we'll get to there at that point. What is happening is a decent amount of defense for Byun, protecting those different places from the Oracle. Reaper is going to start poking in at the front side of this natural, is going to get chased down by these adepts, and will get picked off. So that's a nice little small win for Showtime, limits the amount of scouting information that Byun can take advantage of, as Showtime's going to work towards his own third base in that pocket expand as well.
Yep. We'll be able to take that right there. And third base for Byun, just kind of sitting around for the time being, producing SCVs until he's fully saturated on 2 base. He's going to start working to move that across later down the line. +1 and Stimpack nicely kind of lining up here. Could be a potential moment for his infantry to try and move out. I'm not quite sure how his medevac production has been up until this point, as he's still, you know, making that factory. So these Marines might be a little bit committed once they go across the map.
Yeah, and that doesn't feel like a terrible commitment to make. I mean, Byun's very well known for his impeccable micro, and this kind of an army could be very impactful against a Protoss player that admittedly doesn't have large amounts of units. I mean, you can see the units tab in the top left. He's only got 4 ground units right now alongside his entry. That's
no
it.
Stalkers either, which is a big deal. Stalkers do really well against Marines, especially if you get to micro them, you know, or you get to chase the Marines as well. There's just no getting away from them, or really getting on top of them. Unless if you have that stim pack, of course. Stim pack is available. Byun is kind of poking, forcing out units.
Yeah, he's got to be very, very cautious on when he pops that stim pack because there are no medevacs alongside this. So every stim pack, very, very valuable here. The units of Byun actually going to be on a little bit of a retreat path here, trying to see if they can intercept these oracles on the way back home, but not going to be the case. There will be a tiny, it won't even get a bulk of scouting there. The Marine getting picked off right before it might have activated the Zelnaga tower, but instead it is going to be a different Marine to try and secure that information. But now we will see the information of that third base. There is going to be a Colossus underway, so SHOWTIME so far very well positioned on his army. Despite the number disadvantage, he does not let that falter.
Yeah, the Marine wondering, like, didn't we just send Frank over to do this job? And Byun having to tell him, no, he retired, don't worry about it. Here we go. A big drop potentially here. The Marines are still available, but that's a lot of air army there ready to fight it. Maybe another push into the natural base will be occurring at the same time. Might find more luck there. Yeah, the static defense unprotected right now, so does get taken out, but that's all that's going to happen for Byun so far. Oh, I like the targeting down right there. Oh, it's going to be able to trade against those zealots. Bit of an under or an overestimation of what those gateway units may be able to do.
I mean, this is an example of what Byun is able to do with so few units. I mean, he still manages to pick off 7 workers. We get the battle report up here. It's an okay exchange. I mean, SHOWTIME's losing out on some probes, which I think has a small added value. If Byun's able to trade out those army units for workers, it's not a terrible exchange, but Byun can't afford to trade inefficiently every single time. SHOWTIME's going to be able to anchor down and take care of business in a better way long term. But I think for the short term, if Byun can now try and capitalize here, oh, he's got to be careful of those Phoenix. Poised and ready to strike. If he can find some ways to be a little bit more efficient, I think that will work for him long term.
Yep. Upgrades finishing up. All right. Byun looking like he might try to fork out a little bit here with his forces, but he's got to be ever so careful with those Phoenix nearby. He's endlessly patrolling that for SHOWTIME, and I gotta say, man, it's looking okay here for SHOWTIME. Those 3 Colossi. Would like to see some more zealots underneath those boys, but he's working towards it. Disruptors coming in as well. That should be a good addition here to help out against the whatever Byun is throwing at him. And big drop for Byun as well. So again, he comes in. Oh, those Colossi, they're unprotected. Yep, that is a problem. Shield battery comes in quite clutch, but only manages to save one of them. The Disruptor also gonna fall here. That's a lot of high-tech units going down. Ooh, even a Widowmine getting the Phoenix there.
It ended up being a really good pincer attack here by Byun. He really equalizes out that units lost tab there. They're pretty close. The quantity doesn't equal the quality in every case. But SHOWTIME continuing to at least hold on to some of his more valuable units. It seems as if, despite losing the Colossi, he is making that transition into Disruptors, which isn't a terrible thought to get into, especially with Ghosts getting added into the mix, those can be very valuable in trying to neutralize large bio forces. But SHOWTIME has to, much in the same way that Byun has to make sure that he trades as efficiently as possible, SHOWTIME can't afford to throw away that many large gas units all at once. He is trying to rebuild a couple of that Colossus count, but getting up some of these upgrades is going to be really impactful here. +2 finishing up very soon, and he will have a tiny window here where 1-1 will be all that Byun can offer for his Bioforce.
Yep. SHOWTIME looking for a 5th base potentially. So is Byun, but Byun might actually be looking for the 5th base of SHOWTIME a little bit quicker. Is he going to land here, or is he going to keep going? He's going to keep going. Oh, scary. The spotter pylons should be able to pick up on this. Then you still have those Phoenix. They're not too far away, Rushi. Alright, he commits. He commits. Well, those Phoenix, they are still in the pocket base, kind of. Okay, rethinks his efforts. A scan there showing the Protoss army moving towards that location already, and you know, just not in the mood to lose it all in that way.
No, and I think the moment that he realized that he was scouted by that outward pylon, I mean, he made the right choice to just go short. This is a great pickup, and that's why you make those redirects happen. You can grab some of those vulnerable units here. One Ghost does get picked off for the cost of the engagement here, but Byun now going to try and come in on the top side as well. One disruptor shot does miss the mark, but it's enough to force the army back just far enough that they can't converge together. So I think SHOWTIME's going to be in a position where he can try and collapse on these forces. Byun has to stay back at least a little bit right now. Shield battery overcharge aiding in this defense, but once that is finished, that could possibly be another moment for Byun to strike once again, but he decides against it, wants to regroup just a little bit.
Yeah. I think a big deal here for Byun is that he does have that 5th base going right now, and he's managed to stop SHOWTIME from doing the same thing, right? So the clock now definitely on SHOWTIME to try and get himself out of this situation or get something done across the map in a similar regard. And until that happens, well, maybe disruptor shots, right? If he's very efficient, something like that could occur a lot easier for him. But let's see. This army's still strong, man. Like, those Phoenix, they are plentiful. And they keep just coming in, trying to pick up whatever they can. They, even without energy, right? They can still just be on top of your army, set off Widow Mines on top of your Marines, and just chase down those medevacs as well.
Dude, and adding a Neon Pulse Crystal into the upgrade count here for SHOWTIME, that's going to give just even more added value out of these Phoenix, and he's replacing them as well, which I think is incredibly useful. Being able to take out some of the staying power of this Bioforce is really, really important for SHOWTIME, as his units are going to be able to trade just a little bit more effectively. They're just much more sturdy than the mobile Bioforce of Byun. So capitalizing on the strengths of this army, diving on in. It does get EMP'd, but not going to lose out on too many of those units. Very good position in keeping SHOWTIME in this defensive pull.
Yeah, Byun now maxed out. He just hit the 200 supply mark, so he's looking to start trading again. Still wants to be somewhat efficient, right? Doesn't have to be extreme efficiency here, but some efficiency would be nice. Well, this is not that quite yet, although he is killing that High Templar as well. More units coming in from the back line. Disruptors are trying their best, but an okay pull away. SHOWTIME staying alive. Killing off the medevacs, that's also quite nice, actually. Because now, like, you have a big choice as Byun, right? Do you rebuild those medevacs, or do you add in the Liberators? Yeah, I mean, Vikings, right, for the carriers right now. My goodness.
Yeah, I love the carrier transition here for SHOWTIME. He's got a supply advantage right now. He has an opportunity. Oh, he's going to be able to hold on to these disruptors, though. Losing 4 disruptors is a huge cost he has to pay. More EMPs getting on top of this very valuable army that SHOWTIME has to be careful to protect. He can't just throw those away, especially since he's done such a good job of trimming off all of Byun's expensive gas units. Byun does not have a major amount of gas in the bank right now, and it is a luxury for him. He needs to try and hang on to these. picking off more and more of these ghosts with Phoenix lifts is incredibly impactful, and it does just buy more and more time for those carriers to hit the map. The supplies very, very even right now. Byun out mining SHOWTIME on the mineral count, but I think it's going to come down to those valuable gas units here. Vikings, though, could tip the scale as long as Byun finds out in time.
Oh my, wow. That could have been nasty. Okay. He just barely got a whiff of that somehow, and the Phoenix were there at the right place. Not fully aware either, it seemed like, but they were there. And they prevented those medevacts all from coming in. But he's going to try again. He will, looks like, commit. As there is a big drop in that pocket right there. There we go. Saying, well, that doesn't look very efficient, does it? Gets the cannons.
Oh.
Still needs to kill the probes. Oh, big disruptor shot. I would love to see the units lost tab.
Yeah, it's a bit of a confusing engagement here up in the natural. I mean, the Phoenix do manage to pick out all of the medevacs, but there's nothing left behind to really deal with the Bioforce. So a few defensive warpins are going to be helpful, but those ghosts are getting so much value, those EMPs, creating more and more problems for SHOWTIME. Finally, SHOWTIME's able to stabilize, but it costs him 14 workers and a little bit of advantage here as the carrier count is slowly starting to grow. I think SHOWTIME's rapidly approaching a point where he will be able to flex his superiority in the air here. Do we have Vikings in the works? No, it's more medevacs right now to try and replenish all the medevacs that he has lost by this point, and that could possibly be a difficult advantage for him to, or disadvantage rather, for him to overcome.
Yep. Yeah, Byun is going to be looking to try and pull back as much as possible, kite against the Protoss forces, and try to just gun down the interceptors with the Marines from afar. And he's doing a great job picking off those disruptors, right? He's found them so many times now. SHOWTIME just barely having enough a couple of times. And with this carrier army, it could be quite a force to be reckoned with, but oh, they are just going back and forth right now. Okay, SHOWTIME backs off. Doesn't quite like the engagement right there. It was a tough one to call.
Well, Byun has so many opportunities, especially in the center of the map, to use that mobile army to his advantage, get some better positioning on the air units there. Those carriers take a long time to try and position, and as those Archon numbers kept thinning out, more and more opportunities for Byun to just stim on in underneath and wipe out those very slow, valuable units of SHOWTIME became more relevant. And I think SHOWTIME is smart to back off, but that does give Byun a ton of map control once again. It's the same thing that we said in the previous series, Kozan. I mean, SHOWTIME's got a great defensive hold in this game, but he's got to find a way to turn that defense into offense.
Yeah. Let's see if he manages to get himself here. Perhaps a very efficient trade, but so far, I mean, I see a lot of Zealots being shot to bits and pieces. Finally, the carriers are going to get involved as well as the Archons, so the Bioforce being pushed backwards. There is another Bioforce right now on the, what, 5th base of SHOWTIME. And that could be a scary one. It's coming in right now, and that could be dealing a lot of damage as SHOWTIME is trying to force his way to the front. Suddenly, his entire army we see rotating back to deal with this. And this army is just going to pick up and leave, right? Byun doesn't care. He has much better economy here, so as long as he keeps SHOWTIME on his side of the map and he kills a probe now and again, he's going to be okay. As long as SHOWTIME doesn't get more bases, right? To be fair.
I mean, that's got to be the big overarching goal right now for Byun, is just keep SHOWTIME capped on the economy that he has right now, because he's able to manage it. He's showing it right now that he's forcing SHOWTIME to be able to stay back. He's not able to expand forward. So this base in the lower right-hand corner is an absolutely crucial goal for Byun to stay on top of. And it seems like he's not having a major issue with that. He's not trying to force the issue on the top side of the map in that pocket base. He's spending more time owning the center of the map, not allowing SHOWTIME the ability to move across, and just trying to capitalize on that tactical airspace here, as he is going to shove things back. Byun's going to be careful, but that's a big disruptor shot canceled right at the last second. That one also gets canceled at the last moment as well. Byun playing on pins and needles here as he's trying to maintain some advantage here. Phoenix going to come in from the north side to start working away on Medivacs once again, and that, as always, reduces the staying power of these Bioforces, but Byun able to attack in multiple locations at once, has that Bioforce working away on the 5th base location. 17 workers and counting, double digits into the 20s. Kozan, this is so much damage here for Byun. SHOWTIME falling apart just a little bit on this defense.
Yeah, for sure. Luckily for SHOWTIME, he is still at 100 overall army supply. And, well, we'll see. He might just try to get himself a more army supply overall. Okay, he is replenishing those probes still. But maybe at SHOWTIME right now the option would be just get yourself an army supply that is so much higher than your opponent's. Of course, you would require not losing too much, and Byun is just continuously applying this squeeze to SHOWTIME and bleeding SHOWTIME dry. It feels like forcibly trading, even some SCVs being sent in, realizing he could use a bit of extra army supply as well.
I mean, this is just becoming a concerning position here for SHOWTIME. I would love to see the units lost tab on how many of those Medivacs have been killed off in this game, because it has just been an overwhelming number. 33! Yep. That's so much gas, but also look at all of these zealots that have been traded out. Byun has not walked away from those engagements empty-handed. Sure, he's lost a lot of high-value gas units, but he's always done just enough to keep SHOWTIME from having enough to push across the map, eliminating small amounts of area effect damage, eliminating splash damage. Byun has always been able to come away with just enough.
Yeah, exactly. SHOWTIME, of course, I mean, if he gets this bottom right side base, I still feel okay about his chances overall. Byun has been running into SHOWTIME quite heavily now and again, and the army for SHOWTIME has just been such a technological, advanced army, and just trading efficiently overall. There might still be some wiggle room for him, regardless of the extreme amounts of damage he's taken so far. But it is a tight rope he has to walk, an extremely tight rope. Here he comes again, Byun that is, with another attack. Opens up the floodgates. The EMPs are pretty good, so Protoss army moves backwards. Trying to deal with another drop, of course, as there will always be a drop here at some point.
Yeah, he's just never been able to find any peace on the lower right-hand side of the map. And these Marines are continuing to get additional damage done. 14, 15 workers trimmed off. It's 76 to 37, Kozan. I mean, at the point where you have half the amount of workers as your Terran opponent, that is going to become a rapidly increasing issue. And it kind of defeats the purpose of being able to get that mega army that can just overwhelm this force. I mean, Byun has more army units. His army may not be as sophisticated, but it's always going to be way more powerful and taxing than these Protoss units of SHOWTIME.
Yeah, it is what I'm worried about as well. At least he gets a fair chunk here, but loses another one of those disruptors. His Phoenix Scout not looking that strong either anymore. So he will be moving down a ramp into a pretty well set up Terran player right there. Look at all those missile turrets prepped to defend. Oh, nice one there.
This has been well played by both of our players. This has not been one-sided by any stretch of the imagination here, but I think Byun is slowly going to be able to bleed the rest of this dry here. Some great EMPs onto the carriers. As soon as those zealots back off, in goes the Bioforce. A couple more disruptor shots to dodge, but this has finally become the pushing point here for Byun. His units are going to finally overwhelm. The sophistication no longer present for SHOWTIME, and he's going to have to tap out. 25 minutes later, Byun emerges victorious with game number 1. There it is.
Yep. All right, there we go.
Bottom right-hand corner. I figured out the word. It's the blue Terran player for the Shopify Rebellion. This is Byun.
And his opponent, spawning in the top left side, it's a red Protoss player fighting for Team Big. It is SHOWTIME.
It's a shrine to himself. Ah. Oh, that definitely looks like a StarCraft shrine. I love it.
Okay,
that looks
so
outstanding.
we do hear from a reliable source here, Lady Azilis, telling us in the chat that apparently well, it is just what it is, right? It's the human body. Apparently Byun's wrists are not feeling the best today. Normally when he's playing from home, right, he says that there's not much that bothers him, so that feels like it's normally the case, but who knows? Who knows? Apparently today, not the best of days for him, so that's unfortunate, man. It's not the day you would like to have that happen on.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the good news is he's almost done. And this is the final series he has to play today, and he could potentially be one win away from clearing out his work to do today. But that does give some concern long-term as well. I mean, he needs to be able to play on, well, I guess tomorrow.
Yeah.
Quarterfinals.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly, man. How many games would he have to play then tomorrow? Would it be like 2 best-of-5s or something? Or maybe...
Should just be 1 best-of-5, right?
Best of 5?
That would make sense. We would do the quarterfinals on Saturday, yeah, and then leave the semis and the finals on Sunday.
I've done my research up until the round of 8, but
which we're not in right now. I just want to be clear about that.
Yeah, well, it could be. It could be. We don't. I feel like
I mean,
this
you have to
hasn't
have
been
8 people
decided
to
yet.
get to 16. So.
Okay, let me see. Yeah, it would make sense, right? We're gonna do the best of 5s. That would be 4 best of 5s then on Saturday, and then on Sunday the semi-finals and the finals, which is 2 best of 5s and a best of 7 for the finals.
True.
All right. Well, best of luck to him. Hats off. I mean, the way he's been playing, it's hard to say, right? It's hard to tell. Yeah.
I'm guessing, looking at his build right now, I think he's got something short, sweet, and to the point lined up here. He did get a very early engineering bay, and that, I think, should go unscouted. Yeah, at least right now, that's going to be relatively unscouted. It is going to be double barracks behind the command center, and +1 already on the way. I believe that Tech Lab just finished up as well, so we will see Stim Pack. This could still be another really aggressive opportunity for Byun to get across the map. And with Moondance not being terribly large, I mean, this could potentially strike at a time where SHOWTIME will have a difficult time dealing with it. The Oracle should be able to help provide additional information and at least give him impact or information on what is coming, but it's 3 barracks right now, Kozan. That is a very dedicated effort here by the Terran player.
Yeah, 3 barracks. That is going to be a whole lot of aggression with that +1 and the Stim Pack lining up. Already previously, the attack, well, didn't do much, did it? Was that off of 3 racks as well, or was it 2 racks back then? The previous game.
That is a great question.
It did feel like a 3 racks amount of Marines, didn't it? Ooh, this could be nice. Ooh, SHOWTIME. Okay. Whew. Man, half a second later there, and it would have been dead.
I think now this is going to be a growing moment of opportunity here for SHOWTIME. He is going to have to allow this attack to come forward to help, I mean, kind of secure this choke location. He is going to put down a stasis trap. That's a good place to start. It's a matter of whether or not Byun's going to be able to put together the fact that that might be there as a defensive tool. Right now, getting that robotics facility up and running is an important next step here for SHOWTIME, as he is going to try and get an Immortal out to help stay this push. But there is not a lot of difficult advantage here for Byun to overcome. I mean, he only has one way in, one way out. That is going to be the pushing point for this current moment. He does have +1, he does have Stim, but again, without any medevacs, that's going to make this very difficult to push forward with, as every Stim is very precious.
Yeah, quite a bit of a delay there on that starport as well. That could remedy the stims that you use right now. If we manage to get a couple of medevacts here on the board. Still at the front here of that Proto Space. Unfortunately, it's not doing a lot, but there we go. Now it jumps into action. Picks off 2 sentries, I believe, and a couple of those adapts. And that's about it. Would have been nice if he had gotten the Immortal as well, but... it just wasn't in the cards there.
Well, and now Byun's behind on his economy as well. Does he have a third base? I don't... Okay, he does have a third base built. It actually might have just started, so this is very far behind here for Byun. He is going to have to play a little bit of catch up on his economy, so this army is now going to be very important to try and find some economic damage on the other side of the map, because 61 probes to the 49 SCVs of Byun, SHOWTIME puts himself in a slightly stronger economic position. He will still have to defend. It's a decent amount of army coming across the map for Byun, but SHOWTIME utilizing that scouting information very well. He should have the tools in place to be able to hold this down, as long as that stasis trap is used before it expires.
Yeah, there are 2 medevacs coming in, so Byun could try to just open up another theater for this attack, but to be fair, I mean, there's all tagged right there by the Oracle, so it's all gonna be, you know, how do you call this? Just transmit its information towards SHOWTIME right there. Yeah, it looks like it should be a pretty easy hold for him so far. 2 medevacs have gotten away though without being spotted, but SHOWTIME has a good idea of where those 2 medevacs would go.
I kind of like this position here for SHOWTIME. He's got a really nice radius. I mean, this is very similar to game 1 though, where he kind of had all of the right targets in mind. He knew the direction he wanted to go. It was just managing to hold on to it over and over and over again to the onslaught of Terran that was coming his way. Byun finally now getting out to his third base. He is going to start closing that worker count as well, 65 to 59. That will be a good moment of clarity here for Byun, but SHOWTIME has to find a way to capitalize on that as well. SHOWTIME did not have that much of an advantage, despite the fact that he's been at an advantage for a long period of time. The quality of that advantage was not that great.
Yeah. Yeah. Byun, I like how patient he is as well, just getting up his tech. SHOWTIME, we expect him to sit back, right? Byun, you expect to still try and be as aggressive as possible, but he is being a bit timid with his medevacs, right? He's not taking any risks. With 8 Phoenix on the field, it's really tough to make that commitment, really, to make that call. To try and be aggressive with medevacs anyway, so it's nice to see. Both players got formidable forces now because of it. Are they gonna clash?
I think the addition of tanks here is a positive endeavor for Byun. I think that offers him a little more staying power on some of these pushes, but it does make his army a little less mobile. Another thing to note, we haven't gotten the jump onto those Colossus that we saw in game number 1. SHOWTIME lost a lot of expensive units on the early onset of this back and forth, so Byun having to play a slightly different game here in game number 2, and it's going to be a little bit more slow, it's going to be a little bit more methodical, but I don't think it's going to be any less deadly.
Yes, the siege tanks now coming in closer towards that production. SHOWTIME did put most of his production in the far away reaches though, most likely anticipating some situation like this being a potential. Byun's got to be ever so careful dropping these units into the main base with those Phoenix there. Nice EMP, putting those Phoenix already in the low does give him a bit of confidence to try and get his bio forces set up in this main base. Shield battery overcharge does come in, and oh, Byun just barely doesn't manage to shoot it all down. So it's still going. The medevacs are gone, no retreat for those boys on the high ground now, and as soon as they are gone, the high ground vision is going to go with it.
Yeah, And this is a really nice run by here by Showtime, utilizing that Warp Prism very aggressively. Having to clear out that third base does create some problems here for Byun, as he's not going to be able to just openly reclaim this army count that he is losing. Right now, he's definitely at a disadvantage, 110 to 90. He is closing that down, but look at this aggressive warping as well by Showtime. 20 workers have gone down for Byun, and more to come at this point. The army is going to get caught out on the center of the map. These tanks almost get caught unaware. One does fall. It does clear up the remainder of those zealots, but there's been so much chaos back at home for Byun, it's been difficult for him to stabilize.
Yeah, Byun trying his best now to clear out the main base of zealots. Finds the Warp Prism here before it sends in more of them. Luckily stimps the bleeding for the SCVs for the time. But, man, that Warp Prism, it's just floating about. Ooh, okay, that was a bit too much. Maybe had him on the wrong hotkey group or something, because the Phoenix was flying around towards that area. Maybe the Warp Prism accidentally added in on that group there. Can be a big deal, because, you know, Byun's a bit freed up now to start moving across again.
Yeah, that was a very big advantage that Showtime had going for him, that now he has to try and recover that advantage. And he's not really making another Warp Prism at this point, so that is something to consider. Not recreating the pressure on the opposite side of the map, which means he does have the opportunity to focus just entirely on this army. Keeping advantage on this AoE and splash damage is really important. He has to keep these disruptors and Colossus alive. The choke point for Byun, not as good as it otherwise could be here, as those Colossus are going to be able to stutter step forward here. Some big shots by the disruptors here. Byun's not able to capitalize on this, and Showtime with much better execution. Game number 2 evens up the series 1-1.
In the bottom left side, a blue Terran appears to, well, be on the verge of elimination or moving forwards. Shopify Rebellion. Byun.
And on the verge of bringing a comeback here. One win away from advancing out in second place. For BIG, this is Showtime.
It's an ace match. That, in a way, to me, feels like a little bit of a finals here for this group. Truly, these guys have given quite a performance so far today, and we hope the stamina is there for Byun to make it a very good game number 3 here as well. Showtime looks like he is rearing to go still after that game number 2.
Well, I mean, we're going to get maybe the most normal start to this game that I could have expected to see between these two players. I wouldn't have been surprised to see Byun pull out even like a 2-Rax proxy at this point. I think that could have provided for some very interesting plays. But if he's feeling like his wrist is hurting him, that would definitely lean into some of his decision making. So definitely hope that that's not having a major impact on his ability to play the kind of games that he wants to in this series. But they're all factors. They're all factors that play in.
Yeah, exactly. To be fair, if he does the same thing we saw in game number 1 and 2, right, with that big batch of Marines kind of opening things up, this is a map where I see it just be a bit more effective. There's more of an area where those robo units will be passing by, where you could have a potential interception. The third base isn't just tucked away safely in a corner behind already pre-established shield batteries and such, right? The Protoss is going to have to make a bit of a commitment with his units, or just leave it fairly exposed. And it looks like, yeah, there is another barracks on the way. I would like to see second or 3 racks here. 2 or 3. What will it be? Mr.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the big question, is how he wants to develop this, because this is going to be the same path that he walked in game number 2 for sure. But it's currently at 2 barracks. Definitely a major difference in the production value. It seems as if it's just going to be the 2 this time around. Oh, there goes the 3rd. Okay, so it's going to be the same path that we walked in the previous game. It's just a matter of whether or not Byun can make more of those opportune costs happen with jumping on top of different units and maybe taking advantage of a weakness in Showtime's defense.
All right, Showtime. Not seeing the other barracks so far. That's important. But he does see all these Marines. And he has played him 2 times before. So, he might be smelling what is cooking here.
Yeah, I think I would be surprised if Showtime was caught off guard by this. Seeing this in the previous 2 games, being surprised by it for the 3rd game, I think would just be a lapse in Showtime's judgment for sure.
Yep. Even extra verification there with that Oracle, of course. Sees the barracks, sees more Marines. It's gonna start setting up some adepts for already potential aggression across the map. I like that idea, since he knows those Marines are gonna leave the base. So most likely, if you send in those 3 adepts around that time, right, either the Marines will have to go back, or, well, SCVs are gonna die, so... Really cool play here. Nice, tiny little adjustment for Showtime, and I think it could benefit him quite handsomely here. For adepts, ooh, the Marines still quite close, at least half of them.
Oh, but this is going to be a really nice amount of damage that I think he should be able to escape, sort of, from. Maybe a couple of these. Nope, every single adept's going to get picked off. But trading out for 7 workers is not a horrible exchange as long as he can protect on the backside of this. But this is a really bold engagement here, going after the units here of Showtime. The Immortal standing tall, but losing a couple of those expensive gas units, especially losing out an Oracle, is one of those opportunity costs we were talking about earlier. Yeah, and especially because he wants to be making those Phoenix as well with this build, right? They're a staple unit, and it doesn't seem like there's a lot of room if he wants to go that route to try and replace those Oracles as well. But he might be able to squeeze another one in. But then again, right, immediately you're just weaker on your defense for any medevacs and stuff like that. Let's see if the Marines are going to be able to make that way into this base. It doesn't look like it, but there we go. That 3rd base now open and exposed. A beautiful target for Byun to go for. And finds a couple more adepts. Is going to be able to just trade okay with these Marines, right? I think protecting this 3rd base, though, is the critical value for Showtime. Those Marines not shutting down or getting a cancel on that 3rd base is really, really huge. Losing some of those valuable units, yeah, that's definitely a difficult loss. But look at the battle report there. Still works out okay for Showtime as long as he gets to keep that 3rd base. Yeah. Like, maybe why I'm a bit worried here for Showtime is with losing those gateway units, he's going to have to replenish them. So he's going to have either less Colossi, or he's just going to not have as many gateway units to first and foremost spread out, but then also to still have with those Colossi, right? In game number 1, we saw that where these 3 Colossi with just a few amount of gateway units, and Byun just stims in and they're gone, right? But overall, army supplies for Showtime, it's looking a lot better than that game. It's just, yeah, it's just a slight worry that he may not have enough gateway units, maybe again, right? Especially since he's still going for Phoenix as well. Although the Phoenix are definitely paying for themselves right here. Wow, I mean, that was a great engagement by Showtime. He had just the right amount of lifts to pick up the Marines of that army and then able to neutralize the force. And then he just has free reign over those medevacs. So good use of the opportunity there. He's going to be able to continue developing his 3rd base location, going to get that situated into place, dropping down a couple of cannons to help with that defense. And this is starting to shape out to look very similar to game number 2. Showtime limiting the amount of opportunities for Byun to capitalize on mistakes, and he's able to keep some of these more expensive units longer term. Yeah. Yeah, well, Byun still has a couple of opportunities here to try and make it work. I mean, 11 Marauders there, that is a terrifying amount. If they do get on top of this clump, and those Phoenix just aren't there, right? There's some wiggle room, but yeah, Showtime seemingly holding most of the cards right now.
More Phoenix. Extended Thermal Lance going to help out. Ghost Academy already on the way, which makes me think that Byun just wants to, well, try to sit back a little bit anyway.
I mean, playing the longer form game here for Byun is not a horrible idea. It's a good setup for him. He's not experiencing a whole lot of pressure by Showtime, so he should be able to mostly freely expand. I think it'll come down to whether or not Showtime wants to capitalize on some Warp Prism harassment. Again, in this game, that worked out really well for him in game number 2, and I would love to see him continue to develop that. He's going to drop the second Forge as well, so taking an interest in getting those additional upgrades. I think that's a really important move here for Showtime.
Full base versus the full base, yeah. +2/+2. It does have me wondering right now continuously, like, is Byun being passive because of just his position in the game, right? Because that kind of would make sense. Or is he just trying to slow down his own movements here as well? I mean, his economy's looking good, right? 81, he's up there. Could be starting to think about a 5th base. At least that will be one hell of a fight before this match is through. There's no real way around that fact. Showtime already adding in the Stargate Templar Archives.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a pretty decent development for Showtime. He has a opportunity to get on top of this army. It's just a matter of whether or not he can pounce fast enough. His army's still rather immobile, very, very slow, has to do what Showtime does best. But here comes a giant push forward. Giant EMP goes down onto the Phoenix, which limits the amount of damage potential. Same with the Zealots. So now the Zealots are going to chase, but they are much less strong than they were just mere moments ago. But Showtime has decided that this is the moment that he wants to try and strike. He's going to utilize some of that high ground to see if he can get additional damage down onto those medevac, and it doesn't quite come out in the exchange that he wants. But look at that supply, or the upgrade advantage. It's 2-2 against the +1 ground forces of Showtime. It definitely is an advancing army here for Byun.
Yeah, beautiful moments there for him to take that fight. It felt like he had a very successful trade overall, keeping the Colossus out of the fight, just on arm's reach where they couldn't reach, and that's kind of what he needed to do. Showtime perhaps a bit too aggressive in the chase, thinking that his army was just a bit stronger than it potentially was at that point in time. The Phoenix were doing a good job hunting down the medevacs, but there was just so many medevacs at the same time as well.
And those EMPs have just been on point every single time. Yeah. Those Phoenix have come in from a flank. Byun immediately coats it with an EMP to reduce the attack potential of those Phoenix. And now we are going to see a Fleet Beacon come out. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Neon Pulse Crystal added into the arsenal once again. But it would also not surprise me if Showtime starts to make the transition towards carriers once again. Look at the unit loss tab. It's been almost even exchanges for both of these players, but now that might start shifting here as Byun's going to attack in multiple locations at once.
Okay, looking for those expensive units. Still not quite certain about that move, but they drop in the main base. That's having a lot of success. Wiggles his way in between a couple of buildings so that Zealots are going to have a very tough time here. The retreat immediately cut off by the Phoenix, but look at that positioning there. Those Zealots, you're going to need a little bit more there. Showtime, a Colossi, a Disruptor, something. Down goes the +2 armor as well. That's going to be a while before that is now available.
I think it's going to be a while before anything's available in this game. Look at that Bioforce continue to tear through the main base. That base has been shut down at the 5th base location. This army, while it's sophisticated, just doesn't have enough to deal with the sheer bulk of Byun's army here. And now another Doom Drop going into the main base once again. Showtime can't ignore this anymore. He has to bring the main army into the main to deal with this, but that's going to open up so much vulnerability on the left side of the map.
It is. Oh, and there it is. Disruptors just open empty. Are they going to be able to get a couple of shots off? Yes, they are, but they are going to go down immediately afterwards. Showtime so low on the supply. Nothing else tools-wise available to make it still work. Has to tap out, and we have Byun advancing further forwards towards the round of 8.